An upcoming HBO documentary about the Church of Scientology has sparked months of controversy. Going Clear, Scientology and the Prison of Belief includes interviews with several former church members.
In 2004, Miscavige ordered the top officers of the Sea Org to Scientology's Gold Base in Southern California. He forced them to live in a pair of double-wide trailers that came to be called the Hole.
The doors had bars put on them, the windows all had bars put on them, and there was one entrance door that a security guard sat at 24 hours a day.
I had to stay there, sleep there. It stunk, and there were ants crawling around. Did you sleep about an hour, 2 hours a night? You were in such a mental state that you're very controllable, very suggestible. We were told we needed to come up with what each other's crimes were against Miscavige and Hubbard so that we could eventually get out of the hole.
Scientology is really good at making you think that you're a scoundrel.
Confess your crimes, confess your crimes. What have you done?
The Church of Scientology criticizes Going Clear as one-sided and dishonest. The movie premiered in January at the Sundance Film Festival. It is based on a book by Pulitzer Prize-winning author Lawrence Wright. The director is Academy Award-winning filmmaker Alex Gibney. They're both with us in Studio 57. We invited a representative from the Church of Scientology onto this broadcast. No one was made available to come this morning. Let's begin with the question, why this documentary for you?
I'd actually been offered the story of the Church of Scientology many times, but it wasn't until I read Larry's book that I really became interested. And one of the things that really interested me was this idea of the prison of belief, the notion that people get so invested in a belief system that they'll do the most appalling things. And in that way, it's about the Church of Scientology, but it's also about a lot of other, about all of us, really, in terms of when we get invested in a belief system and suddenly that blind faith takes us places that are unexpected.
Larry, what interested you about Scientology?
Well, I've always been interested in why people believe different things. And, we have a smorgasbord of beliefs in this country, so you can believe anything you want. But why Scientology? It's the most stigmatized religion in America. But obviously, people go into it, they get something out of it. They affiliate with it, they lend their reputations to it. So my goal was to understand, what was it that they were getting out of it? Why did they go in? Why did they stay?
I mean, this started as a magazine article for you that then became a book.
It was a profile of Paul Haggis, who was an Academy Award-winning writer and director who dropped out after 35 years.
Well, as you might expect, the Church of Scientology is not happy. They provided us with this statement. They said the film is a one-sided wine fest and bigoted propaganda. How do you respond to the criticism? Because a lot of people say you didn't interview anybody who was pro-Scientology, who's in the church and active and very happy with the church.
Well, actually, I reached out to a number of Scientologists, and as we say in the film, they all declined to appear, much as they declined to appear on this program. They did offer 25 unidentified people, but it's hard to understand. You know, imagine if 25 unidentified people showed up at the studios here and say, we demand to be heard. So the people,
is that what happened? 25 people showed up at your place? And
well, they said they were around the corner and were willing to make themselves available. This was very late in the game, long after I had asked for interviews from a number of key people who were relevant to this story.
But I did talk to a number of those people in active Scientologists in preparation for the article and the book. So their view were constantly solicited by me and reflected in the book and the article and in the documentary.
That's right.
One of the things that the movie alleges is that the church keeps these black PR files against Scientologists, including John Travolta. Why is it, and what are in these black PR files? Why are they allegedly compiled?
Well, this is how it works. You go into auditing in Scientology, and you know, they're holding these cans that is attached to an e-meter, and it's a combination of therapy and confession. And the most intimate details of your life are spilled out, and they are recorded secretly and sometimes videotaped. And I talked to a former member of Scientology who said that at a point when John Travolta was thinking about leaving the church, he was tasked with the job of compiling what they call black PR. In case Travolta left, they would be able to use this information against him.
Scientology is classified as a religion and therefore tax exempt.
Correct. And there was a huge fight over that because there was a point in the early 90s when Scientology faced $1 billion tax bill and only had about $200 million in assets, so they would have been extinct. But through some very nasty tactics, they actually muscled the IRS to give them a tax exemption, which they currently hold. So we are, in effect, subsidizing a lot of the activities of Scientology through this tax exemption.
Is there one point you want everybody who either read your book or saw your film to come away with about Scientology? I mean, what is your sort of theme here?
Well, I think there's one theme about Scientology, and then there's one broader theme. The theme about Scientology is, you know, this tax exemption, I think, really has to be re-examined. And also, we have to also look at these celebrities who are spokespeople for Scientology, particularly Tom Cruise and John Travolta, and wonder why it is that they allow these abuses in the church to go on and they don't speak out about them.
What kinds of abuses?
Child labor would be one.
Physical abuse. I had 12 people in the church tell me that they've been physically beaten up by the leader of the church, David Miscavige. And incarceration. There was a trailer on this camp where the clergy, called the Sea Org, years ago, David Miscavige began imprisoning top leaders of the church in there.
What evidence do you have? Those are some pretty tough charges to make.
And if John Travolta and Tom Cruise were sitting here, they would vehemently disagree with what you're saying.
Well, I think that, you know, Tom Cruise knows this happens. He has a villa on the grounds of the Sea Org base. And if he's unaware of the fact that these people have been, in the case of, for instance, Heber Jinch, the nominal president of the church, he's been locked up in this thing for 7 years. It's not like a vacation for the weekend. This is a place where top executives of the church have been confined, and we know because people have escaped and told their story. We have many people who have left that organization and have told the same story.
Are you worried about your safety because of this documentary? You know, there are reports that when people look into it, in the documentary you talk about a reporter's dog who was poisoned, other people that were followed. Have you been threatened, and do you worry about your own safety based on the stories that you're telling?
I worry more about the people who are critics of the church who left, who's former Scientologists, because they are currently being threatened. PIs, private investigators, are showing up at their doorsteps and muscling them in effect.
What's the enduring appeal, though, that Scientology has? Why does it continue to have members come forward?
I think the real story actually is how many members are leaving. The church is actually shrinking even as their financial assets keep growing because they have over $3 billion.
Still got a following, though, Alex.
It does have a small, it has a small but disappearing following. I think one of the things we get at, which is the more universal theme in the film, is that, and in Larry's book, is this idea that once you become a prisoner of a belief system, it's very hard to let go. And even some of the people that we spoke to, it took years for them to finally understand the hold that Scientology had over them.
All right, Alex Gibney and Larry Wright, thanks to both of you for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Going Clear premieres Sunday, March 29th on HBO.